Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada Om Ganana Antva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavin Kavinam Upashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrunvannoti Bhisida Sadhanam Om Shri Buddhi Siddhi Shakti Sahita Divya Gnan Sahita Divya Bhav Sahita आनंद सहित परमानंद सहित श्री महागणाधिपते नमो नमः श्री उच्चिष्ट गणपते नमो नमः श्री राज गणपते नमो नमः श्री विजय गणपते नमो नमः ओम गम गणपते नमः ओम ग्लौम स्वाहा ओम श्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं ग्लौम गम गणपते वरवरद सर्वजनं मे वशमाने स्वाहा दिवलिंगाय नमः ऊर्ध्वलिंगाय नमः आनंदलिंगाय नमः द्वादश ज्योतिर्लिंगाय नमो नमः ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो नारायणाय हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री कृष्णाय नमो नमः श्री राधाय नमो नमः श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः. Welcome to Daily Satsang, Nitya Satsang. Today is the 11th of March 2026. I want to offer my respects, prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan residing in the heart of every single being. We're continuing further to examine, to better understand the Sakhyarati, the friendship modality of interconnection with Bhagavan, with God. Yesterday we talked about Paraspara Bhav and many other words, similar concepts, and specifically Anurag. Anurag is the ever fresh internal attachment towards Paramatma. That is called Anurag, Anuraga. Let's talk a bit more about that today. Then I want to move further into the concept of Siddha Deha. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. So let's see how it goes. Anurag is ever fresh, ever new, loving connection. It doesn't become old. Now, how is that possible? Well, first of all, it is possible, and if it happens, when a bhakta opens into the state of Anurag, which is ever new, ever fresh, internal attachment, connection towards God, the intensity of the exchange is so much, the continuous bhakti is going on, that the devotee is flooded with ananda. Bhakta is flooded with ananda, bliss, divya ananda, and it is unbroken. So Anurag is beyond raga and dvesha. See the raga, dvesha, attraction, repulsion, likes, dislikes, the limitations of the mind. It is not like that. It is not also simply just a lot of, some excitement in bhakti and bhajans for some period of time, maybe for 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, and then it goes away. It's not like that also. It is ever new connection. Of course, bhajans, stotras, mantras, shastras, manan, chintan, but there is no falling out of that. That is the most interesting point. There is no falling out. During the time of sadhana, that we're doing, most of us, in the time of sadhana, there's a falling out. That we do bhajan, kirtan, scriptural reading, things like manan, chintan, chalta hai. It goes on for some time. It can go on for even extended periods of times, long periods of times even. But then you just get tired and say, I don't want to do this anymore. The connection gets broken, other distractions come. So that is not Anurag. That is still sadhana time. Anurag is a state where there is no more falling back from the interconnection. Let's look at an example of how that might be. For example, look at our satsang every day in the morning. We start around 7 o'clock. We start at 7 o'clock sharp. Vishnu Sahasranam. And then this continues until 8:30. Different bhajans and mantras. All this goes on continuously. And then from 8:30 to 9:15, whatever time, exposition is done. And then, but what happens after that? Some Q&A is there. Some comments are there. Okay, and then what? I'll just use myself as an example. I have to do my duties. There's so many other things to do, right? We don't just sit in only one activity. So the other actions are being performed, but the mind somewhere in its contemplation is still connected with Bhagavan. Maybe through Namratan, as the actions are going on. But also in the back of the mind, there is some area of research or contemplation. Manan Chintan chal raha hai. Even though other activities going on, you're talking to friends, going to do other projects, this and that. So many things are there, but the connection is continuous. Now that doesn't mean you're sitting with a mala all the time and just not moving at all. Like it's not like that. Yeah, your activity is performed, but to understand how to keep Anurag alive or move into that, start with simple activities. We've talked about this in our Angel Wing program, in the personal transformation program, and that's why that program is a foundation for all of this. Literally, start with what so-called small daily activities, things that we just put on, when we put on our clothing, when we brush our teeth, when we put the dishes in the dishwasher. It is bhakti. So we think of bhakti sitting in front of the murti of Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Shankar, unke aage. Wo to hai hi, obviously. And that has to be done. That is a sadhana, obviously. And that mandir has to be there, meditation room. All that is true. We've talked about that. But what? Taking the dishes in the sink and putting them in the dishwasher and turning on the dishwasher, is that not bhakti? It is. It is no different from putting flowers at the feet of Sri Krishna. See this point. We tend to separate this. We meaning humanity in general. Bhakti means we take flowers and coconuts and this and that and fruits and offer to the Lord. And obviously, yes, that is a beginning. But how can taking dirty dishes and putting them in the dishwasher and turning on the dishwasher, how can that be bhakti? How can driving a car be bhakti? How can walking be a bhakti? Have we thought about this point? How is that possible? Because the first thing to understand is that when the action is being done, whether it is taking the inward breath, the outward breath, putting dishes inside the dishwasher, whatever, putting something in the microwave, cooking something, koi bhi kriya, the action is offered at the feet of God. Bhagavan Krishna says this multiple times in the Gita. You offer all actions to me. How is okay, let's take it further. How do we do that? Let's say just take the dishwasher example. You've got 40 dishes, all dirty dishes. You don't want to even see it. So okay, first of all, samatva. Keep it steady. And then take each one, place inside. But as the act is being done, it's a simple act. You can always take the name of Ram or Krishna. Why not? That's easy to do. But now if you're like a heart surgeon, you're not going to be able to take the name of Ram and Krishna and do that. So that's a different way of doing. Before the surgery begins, before the activity begins, just small prayer. After it's done, you keep your attention on the action, do it properly. After it is done, then again Sri Krishna Namo Namaha. Offer the entire activity at the feet of Paramatma. The fruit also is offered to Paramatma. We have to deal with whatever comes our way. And that's it. So is that not bhakti? It is bhakti. And this is what creates anurag. It opens the doorway into anurag. I'm not saying it right. It's anurag. The word is rag. But anurag. Ever fresh. So when we are going minute to minute, hour to hour, day, half day to half day, just continuously in anurag, we're continuously keeping the connection alive. You could be watching something on the news and all that, these wars going on right now. Try to see that in the spiritual way. We've looked at that before. So that connection with Paramatma doesn't break. It happens. So it is actually the revolving in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Tantra Yoga, sub yoga ka connection hai. You cannot just do one yoga all the time. Nobody can. You or me, nobody can do just bhakti, just sitting in terms of. I'm talking about like mantra sadhana. How much mantra sadhana you can do it? Maybe 7 hours, 10 hours, 20, whatever. But then you cannot just do that. No, it is the right balance. Karma, and actually they're all together. They're not separate from each other. Bhakti is also a type of karma. Karma is also a type of bhakti. Gnan, your manan chintan, shravan, manan, nididhyasa. That process of shravan, manan, nididhyasana, which we've talked about before. If you have questions about it, I'm happy to go through it again. That is how Gnan opens up. A Vedanta ka process hai. And that is necessary. Absolutely necessary. It is not to be discarded. You listen to scriptures, listen to talks and ideas, and interconnect. That is called manana chintana. For example, I'll just give you my own example. I've been listening to the extensive series of recordings made by Swami Medananji on the Ramakrishna Kathamrut, the Gospel of Ramakrishna in English. It's quite a few number of videos. It's some 100+ videos or something like that. It's all on YouTube. So very carefully, every line, every word. Listen for 15-20 minutes, and then if I'm doing other things, Mananchal, what did he say? I try to remember what he said. What was the point made? How does that connect with the other things that I know? How does it? Our mind and buddhi is for this purpose. Mind and buddhi is not to be trapped inside the sansar and to be tormented inside the sansar. Shravan is the first step. Then manana, then chintana. Chintana means interconnection. Then heightened interconnection. Then the joy comes. In nididhyasana, it's a heightened manana. This is a jnana marg ki baat hai. So, but you cannot just do that only. We do that to some extent. Then again dive into bhajan kirtan, dive into some other actions, offer them to Paramatma. Again, we are still living in the world. We are aware of what's happening in the world and all that. But the difference is that there is no entanglement or entrapment inside Sattvagun, Rajagun or Tamogun. The Sattva, Raj, Tam, isme bandhan nahi hai. And that is called Anurag. Amazing. And in that Anurag, there is Paraspar Bhav. We talked about that yesterday a bit. Paraspar Bhav. The Bhav, it is a back and forth with Paramatma. Back and forth. Paraspar Bhav. Even from the scriptures. We take verses in the Gita, read them, contemplate them, then do some bhajans, then again contemplate them. If there's free time, when there's free time, Shikshapatri Agnya, very clear. Shikshapatri teaches us. Maharaj teaches us. Vyartha kalena netavyo bhaktim bhagavato vina. When other actions are done, free time is there rather than flipping just through TV channels, which we tend to do, right? But when Anurag, if you want to move into Anurag, Bhagwan ki bhakti mein lag jao. You by yourself. It's not about showing off to anybody. If people are around, it's okay. Let them be around. If they're not around, okay, no problem. It is only one's own connection with Bhagavan. It's an internal bond only. It has nothing to do with anybody else as such. So if I want that connection, jump back into bhakti. But our mind is so trapped inside this sansar. It just keeps rolling around with the objects of the world. And then those images, those ideas, those things that's all the mind is stuck with all that thing. I gave the example before. If you watch a 7-season series on Netflix, all of those actors, those stories, the images, the violent scenes, and the whole thing is recorded inside our brain. Is that what we want in there? We have to ask ourselves, what do I want inside my mind? Do I want Bhagavan, Bhagavan ka dham, Bhagavan ki bhakti, Bhagavan ki jnana, good, there's a lot of good things, out there, good documentaries, things that are not going to disturb my connection with Paramatma. These violent scenes and drug scenes and I don't know, whatever they are, the different stories that are presented in all these series, it gets stored inside the chitta. Those actors start living inside the mind. Is that what we want? Think about it. If one is trying to move into Anurag, move into real bhakti, the senses have to be very much kept within a boundary. The boundary is created to open the door into Parama Bhakti. Otherwise, the continuous contamination is coming in. Which Vachanamruts? Garada Pratham 18, Garada Pratham 25. There's so many. Ante number 9. So many Vachanamrut are there. It's a lot of psychology in this. Kya sun rahe? Think about that. So it can take multiple years to clean up the mind. But the senses need to be kept within a healthy boundary that will facilitate bhakti. The boundary is not for suppression. We do need to interact, but our vasanas, our ichhas, these things are such, with the binge watching and all that stuff as an example. Mind will become trash. Has already become trash and jumbled up. All mixture. And then the trauma, the pain, suffering that is in the TV shows and in these movies and all, that gets all recorded inside the mind. And then you have to try to clean it up again through mantras and this and that. Kitne difficult baat hai. It doesn't get cleaned up that easily. It can take years. So one has to be careful. One has to be very careful because we do not want to put anything inside the brain, inside the mind, that is a contaminant. Ashuddha ahar. In Gujarati we say Ashuddha ahar. Shuddha versus Ashuddha. Vivek hona to chahiye. This Viveka has to be there. Otherwise, mukti cannot happen. Mukta ban hi nahi sakenge. Vachanamrut Garada Pratham 18, there's a strong statement in there. One might know the scriptures inside out and does all kinds of sadhana, but if the senses are not kept within a functional, dharmic, good quality boundary, the mukti will never happen. Because there's constant contamination coming inside. The examples are given in satsang many times. That if you go for 7 days spiritual program somewhere in a retreat, come back home and watch one of these TV shows, just one, with violent scenes and whatever the story, it wipes out that 7 days right away. Kitni difficult baat hai. Mind is so, it is so difficult to keep it pure. We have to be very careful what we're putting inside the mind. Because you could do sadhana, particularly those who are doing sadhana. Those who are not doing sadhana, they're already drowning in the sansar. Their only destination is 3 things Gunatitanand Swami mentioned. Yampuri, Lakchaurashi, Garbhavas. Unka destination wohi hai. We wish well for them. They cannot find any, there's no chance of any mukti bhakti, chhod do sab kuch. Wo to rag, dvesh, klesh, isme mar jate. I said 99% of the people in this sansar are like that. God, maximum number. I don't know what the percentage is. But those who are mumukshus, who are doing sadhana, trying to realize God, trying to go beyond the 3 gunas of Maya, one has to be very, very on guard. Not suppressed life or anything. Be aware of all that is going on. No doubt. Awareness has to be there. Interaction is also there, but don't internalize. We've talked about this in our angel wing program just yesterday and many times before. We interact, but do not internalize. This is the Gita's teaching. Raga dvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyesh charan. Vishayan indriyesh charan. You interact as needed, but that interaction is also within certain limit. If we don't do that, there's no chance of mukti. Kiski mukti hogi? This is why mukti and all these things don't happen, because there is too much agitated stimuli coming inside. Right now, with this war going on, as an example, kitna continuous shows and commentaries and this, the bombs are being thrown and all this kind of thing. You may be aware of it. You can go, but to keep watching that again and again and again, well, what does that do? It's a stimuli, right? All that thing gets recorded. Our mind becomes hellish. नर्क जैसा बन जाता है ये माइंड. इतने लोग मर गए, इतना डिस्ट्रक्शन हुआ, ये हुआ, वो हुआ, राग, द्वेष, क्लेश. If we keep watching that stuff again and again and again, we're not going to be able to solve that problem just by watching that. Actually do sadhana, bhakti karo, sabke liye. That's better. We get mukta. Remember, we mentioned it before. The purpose of this sansar is not to be stuck here, is to get out of here into the Bhagavad Dham. It's a jail. It's called Durga. You can see it. Just turn on the TV. This is pura jail hai. The more you contemplate, you realize we have to find a way out. And that is Bhagavan Swayam, Bhagavan ke Sant, jo satsang ka process hai. That is a doorway out. It is called Archi Marg, out of this Brahmand. No more rebirth, no more Lak Chaurashi, no more problems. You go enter into the spiritual world. You don't want anything to do with this material world at all. And look at the problems that are there. Now they're starkly available. You can see what human beings are doing to each other, right? And what they have been doing. And they'll continue to do that. This is the nature of the prison. Prison mein kya milega aapko? That's the way it goes. But when opportunity is there, like right now, body is healthy, relatively, time is available, mind is working well, scriptures are there, sant hai, scriptures are there, sant parampara hai, mantras are there, stotras are there, mandirs are there. Don't lose the opportunity, don't lose 1 second. Bhagwan ke saath Anurag mein jana. Anurag. Not Anurag, Anurag. There's no H there. Anurag. Isme, tremendous opportunity is there right now. Tremendous opportunity to be completely mukta sthiti, liberated being. And then, as needed, with the Agnani people of the world, interact with them as necessary. They're trapped, totally trapped, unfortunately. And that's the way it is. We cannot do anything about that. Ya Nisha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jagrati Sayim. Krishna Bhagavan is saying. Sachin is not saying. But there's no ego in that also. This is the sansar ka tremendous trap. Hai. Not just a trap, it is a binding that nobody can get out of unless you have real understanding and real satsang comes, Bhagwan ke bhakti and the scriptures and all that. It adopts that, then the process begins. Right, so having understood that, we continue our journey forward. So to continue the journey forward is where there is confidential intimacy with Bhagavan. That deep closeness. The lines of the bhajans, bhajan kirtan ke jo shabd hai na, they start living inside. The mantras start living inside. It is a very steady. See, this is why the Shantarasa is in this also. It's a steady bond. It's not just an emotional high and then coming down. It's not that kind of thing. Anurag is not just an emotional high. It happens, right? We can go to bhajan programs and all that and get high on the bhajans like a drug. Yeah, it's like a drug, no doubt. That's fine. It's not a harmful drug, but it's like a drug. It's ecstasy. But that will come down. But there is Anurag that doesn't come down. You see, when we do a lot of, we start doing bhajans, then the speed increases. If you go to the ISKCON temples, for example, they do a lot of kirtan, right? It starts slow and then it just, and people are, and then the speed increases, people are dancing and all this kind of. But how long can you do that? Only up to some point. Then you have to settle down. So it cannot remain high. It becomes like a drug, right? But it's not a drug in that sense. It is the ecstasy, natural ecstasy inside the brain, mind. It's a high though. It's definitely a high. You can get high on bhajan kirtan. Just like you get high on cocaine or heroin or something like that. It's very similar. It's not all that different. But the difference is the damage is not there. Isme se damage nahi hota. Damage is fixed on the contrary by this high. And it's a natural high. And it's a good quality. It's beneficial. The other ones are harmful. But it's still high though. So Anurag is beyond all of this. It's beyond the highs that you get from the bhajan kirtan. Anurag is continuous. Because, you participate in bhajans. You get that high. Because there's an ecstasy. Romanch isko kehte, ecstatic function. Maybe we'll talk about that some other time in more. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu scriptures talk about all these stages inside. That's fine. Those experiences come. But don't chase them. You start chasing those experiences and ignore Jnana, ignore Vairagya, don't do Manan Chintan, then what will happen? That you're chasing those experiences, the mind is hyper-stimulated by bhajans. And because of vasanas, it will go right from bhajan into intense vasanas. It will flip like a pendulum. Definitely. It has happened to a lot of people. It happens even today. Has happened to a lot of devotees, particularly in Bhakti Marg, in Rasik Bhav. There's a whole Vachanamrut, in Vachanamrut, I think it's Garada Madhya 3 or 4 something, it's in there somewhere. Sriji Maharaj just mentioned this point very, very clearly, that this Rasik Bhav, only few have reached Paramatma that way, because of this swinging back and forth. Some have, but not that many. And it's a very attractive path because of the emotional activation. Isiliye Brahma Swarupini Bhakti. Realize you are Brahman beyond the 3 bodies. Transmute the vasanas. All that has to be there also. That Brahma Gnan is important because it keeps one free. Vairagya, Gnan, all those things are necessary. And then Anurag will open, where the unbroken bond will be established. See, if Sachin is sitting for bhajan kirtan, listening to mantras or bhajans for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, it happens I know in Gujarat particularly, I know about this, but other places also. Sometimes people sit all night for bhajan. And then they get up and, because they're so stimulated, then they'll start chewing tobacco and smoking cigarettes and they'll do, sab vesan mein jayega wo. It will flip into vasanas. So bhakti during sadhana time generally flips back into vasanas. It's not because of any deficiency in the bhakti. Bhakti is a stimulation in the emotional stimulation. It's sneha. It's a binding with Paramatma. But due to the deficiency in Vairagya, deficiency in Gnan, deficiency in Karma Yoga, deficiency in Gnan Yoga, deficiency in Dhyan Yoga, deficiency in Tantra Yoga, Mantra Yoga, there's deficiencies in all of those, which we'll talk about some other time. But if you don't have those also, that Bhakti Yoga will not remain. It will turn into Vasana. One will go from Yoga into Bhog and swing back and forth. And this is the situation of most people. They swing. They don't go anywhere. They do I'm talking about people in the spiritual people who are trying to realize God. They're not able to realize God because they're swinging back and forth. Pendulum effect, oscillation. Almost everybody on spiritual path, religious path is swinging like this. That's why you have these confession boxes in the churches and all that. What is the purpose? Because of all the swinging back and forth. Yes, Vachanamrut, Garada number 2, Ante number 2. This is discussed very beautifully. As satsang is going on, Sriji Maharaj kehte, Chit Vibrant, mind gets dispersed. It gets stuck in the sansar and it gets stuck in God, both places. And it swings back and forth. You cannot reach mukti that way. Mukti hoti hi nahi. You become yog brasht, sanskar hote. Bhagavan ki bhakti, whatever is done, that continues lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Bahunam janmanamant. It goes on for God knows how long. So we have a choice. You want to keep swinging back and forth? Or say no more swinging. Karma yoga, dhyan yoga, sankhya yoga, mantra yoga, tantra yoga, ye sab yoga, they have to connect together because we cannot just be doing only bhajans. It's not going to work that way. We cannot simply say, I'm just going to do dhyan only for 24 hours. Nahi kar sakenge. Have to revolve. And when we know the art of revolving from one yoga into another, from Jnana Yoga to Bhakti Yoga to Sankhya Yoga to Dhyan Yoga to Mantra Yoga to Prema Yoga to scriptural reading, to keep revolving the mind around God and God-related activities. While doing one's all duties are done also, but they're also done in the light of Paramatma, with keeping the senses within a range. All of that has to come together. Then Anurag will open up. Otherwise it will not open. No way. Otherwise one will be stuck in the spinning back and forth. Most people, 99%, maximum number, people on the spiritual side, even sadhus, tyagis, bhaktas, they're just swinging. If the swinging stops, or when it stops and there's anurag, you become enlightened right away. That is enlightenment. That is Bhagavan ka sakshatkar. That swinging has to stop. In psychology, it is called the oscillation effect. Oscillation of perceived control. People with addiction problems, they go through this problem. And devotees also go, because these bhajans become like an addiction, a positive addiction. It can be, they become, one gets high on the bhajans, like you're getting high on alcohol, or you get a high like a cocaine high, and a heroin low, the downer. Heroin is considered to be down. So bhajan is a mixture of cocaine and heroin inside the brain. But doesn't have the negative effect of cocaine and heroin and all the damage. It has, in fact, it gives you the high and it gives you the silence and stability that these drugs give. But it also, what does it do? It opens up the nervous system for continuous contemplation bhakti. And so those experiences, those rasas and highs and lows, and they're not lows, but they're highs and just kind of your mind has become still. You can do a lot of mantra sadhana, become still. It's a drug basically. But it's not just a drug. The drugs are trying to achieve this. They cannot achieve what the bhajans achieve, because you're connecting with Paramatma. So with adequate connection, with the other yogas combined together, then the connection is proper, and one will not swing back into the vasanas again. Otherwise, the ecstasy of bhajan kirtan will swing the bhakta right into vasanas, because it is still at the neurological mental level. Abhi anubhav, Bhagavan ka jo anubhav hai, that is still awaiting. You can get high on a bhajan just like a drug, but that's not the real. That is wo Bhagavan ka hi anubhav hai, but that isn't still the actual tattva. Simply because of the swinging effect. That there will not be any swinging back into the sansar again. Activity will go on, will not. That is the difference between sadhana bhakti, We're just swinging back and forth. And Anurag. And see, so this is the internal development. Many, even there's some case recently, I won't give the name, some 75-year-old elderly renunciate monk, sadhu, in some organization, got involved with some 20-year-old young lady. No scriptures inside out. Vasna kisi ki nahi jati, huh? Don't think it just goes away, evaporate because you do a lot of bhajans and know lots of scriptures. It's not going to evaporate. Your bhakti will evaporate, not these vasanas. Because there's deficiency in vairagya. One has to know where my deficiency is, and without knowing that and working on that whatever bhakti, sadhana, mantra, stotra, puja, archan, mandiro mein jate, ye karte, wo karte, it'll all become zero very quickly. Very quickly it will turn to dust. Sanskar hote hai iske, but the person will be thrashed. So this is no ordinary thing. बहुत बड़ी बात है. But all it means is be on guard. Where's my deficiency? I have to know that, and that's why the scriptures are the scriptures, Guru's teachings, great saints' teachings, that gives me an opportunity to say, where's my deficiency? Mera agnan kya hai? I'm not interested in anybody else. Forget about everybody. Get rid of everybody out of the mind. Where am I? What's happening with me? That's the only thing that's important. The sickness inside of rag, dvesh, klesh, mamatva, aham, mamatva, all these problems, right? And this swinging back and forth is a massive problem. It is the number one problem in spiritual path, swinging back and forth, pendulum effect. And until that is solved, there's no realization. Let's stop here for now. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedeva Sarvakareshu Sarvadom Ganganapate Namaha Shri Sadguru Bhyo Namaha Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Nama Om Hrim Svaha.